Welcome to the Restless Creatives podcast. Comfortable chats with inspirational creatives. Hosted by three self-confessed restless creatives, Lucy Hunter, Fiona Pickles and Bridget Girling. This week, we had the pleasure of chatting with Fujiko Rose, an extremely talented artist who won the Sky Arts Landscape Painter of the Year in 2019. We hear all about how trying to remain creative surrounded by a camera crew can be quite tricky, and Fuji's plans for 2021.
Hello! Hi, how are you?
I was panicking because I use my phone as the camera, and I was like, oh, if she's trying to contact me, I'm not going to know. I was like, do I need to disengage my camera? And it's all fine, you came in.
I haven't done very many Zoom meetings, so it's not really one of those.
Unfortunately, we've done quite a lot.
I've just said Nora Weybridge.
It's not true. We've done lots together.
We've spent the lockdown in a Zoom meeting together, haven't we, Nora?
Yes,
Anyway, how are you? Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm good. It's just sort of weird seeing so many people in a way. I've been having very intellectual conversations with my dog. It's
Oh right.
If you've come here for intellectual conversations, you've come to the wrong place.
Oh, well, thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. Okay, well, fabulous. So I'm Fiona, obviously, because we don't even know each other, so other than through Instagram.
It's weird, actually, isn't it? Like when you follow people on Instagram, it's even if you've not really you're not met. There is that weird feeling of knowing people.
Yeah.
It's quite.
Yeah. And then there's Bridget. I don't know, on
Hello.
my screen she's at the top.
Yes.
But
We could be
Bridget.
all reorientated.
Yeah. And then down at the bottom is Lucy.
Hi.
In her very floral looking workshop.
Dusty.
Do you want to give the listeners really a bit of a background about you and what you do and what you're all about?
I've been sort of working as an artist for, sort of officially as it's only been a couple years really that I've actually been able to make a living from it. Before then it was this sort of, dream job, and I was thinking about, is this viable as a life option? And then there was the program Landscape Artist of the Year, and by going through that and then winning it, that just sort of totally a different thing now, and living my life, doing the dream job.
Living the dream.
Talking to the dog.
Yes, yeah, lots of conversation with my dog. I guess at least as well, it's the job I've chosen, it seems not to be massively affected by lockdown as well. Just cooped up in the house all day, so not much of a change.
I guess you've not been able to exhibit or go to galleries and that kind of thing, interact with potential clients and that kind of thing. So how have you been able to get your work out there?
That's definitely a part that's missing, is that sort of meeting people, which was really nice. And but definitely social media has been, Instagram especially has been really useful in terms of just communicating with people. And whenever I release something, if there's new work out, I'll post it, and that's been a massive help. So I can't imagine not having it actually.
Well, I've spent a many happier hour scrolling through your feed, just enjoying your work, which is stunning.
It's just
very
beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you very much. You all create such just beautiful stuff. So it's so nice having all these amazing ladies.
Oh, I'm fascinated by your work actually, because somebody that does a bit of a sort of script, I have very little patience, I think, really, and it just strikes me that you must have so much patience to create your artwork. How long does it take to do a typical piece?
It varies, and it's strange. Like I don't consider myself a very patient person, but it is sort of Yeah, I just love when something gets done. It's really for that kind of finishing moment. But it'll vary from like, something could take a day, something could take a month. It's just.
And have you always just done pen? Have you always worked in pen? And I know you do some watercolors as well, don't you? Has that changed? You know, or is that's always been your medium?
I think pen's the one that I find easiest to work with in a way. It's one that I feel like I have the most control over. It's a very kind of controlled medium when you've got that little fine point. I know what's happening. But I actually really do like painting as well. And it's just, I'm not sort of acquainted enough with painting in order to sort of, you know, if I do a drawing, I can tell it's a drawing sort of by me. It's in my style. Whereas if I do, you know, if I was to say paint a flower, it would be like maybe a nice painting of a flower, but you wouldn't necessarily associate it with me. It's I don't know how to put my touch into it yet. So
that's really interesting, isn't it? Yes, exactly. The word "yet" and finding your style within different medium is quite an interesting. I guess with our work, the flowers are the medium, and that it doesn't change much. Although having said that, working on a larger scale or a smaller scale, it can change. But I think that's fascinating that when you're using your inks, it's different to using the paints. I was watching you. There's a little clip of you painting with the gold, and your precision with a brush. I was just thinking, wow, she's going so fast, and it's such a straight line. I mean, you're just.
Do you drink coffee?
Yes, you can't possibly do. You'd be all shaky.
So much tea. My teeth are so yellow. It's not even funny.
Richard and I would be like that.
Yes.
That's coffee, actually, not gin.
Yeah, definitely the coffee.
No, not gin.
But you have an extraordinarily steady hand. Is that something you've had to work on, or is it just something that's maybe it's confidence as well?
Just sort of, I guess it's you do get used to things. It's sort of you know, I slowly get used to, you know, being able to paint a controlled line. It's I'm sure it's, you know, like one of my neighbors, she used to do all this beautiful beaded work, and you know, the efficiency with which she could get like the needle through the beads and everything and then stitch it down. I couldn't understand
Practice,
it, but it's so it's but I don't think I mean, I've been drawing, and obviously I've been drawing since I was little, but I'm still very, very early in my career, and even a couple work from a couple years ago, it's so much change has happened since then in terms of just what I'm able to do. And I do think that's just, there's huge benefits in practicing anything.
The same with us though, isn't it? You know, I mean, our styles change, and you look back a few years ago at what you're doing and you're like, I can't believe that, you know, that was how I worked. And your style does just change with you, I think, doesn't it? So, and we've had quite a lot longer to change than you have.
Yes, we have.
So what was your influence when you were young? What did you used to draw then?
It was I really liked growing up. I loved reading manga, and I say reading, it was in Japanese. I can't read Japanese, so I was looking at manga, and I used to, you know, sort of trace it when I was little. And
just for those who don't know what manga is, just explain what.
Asia loves manga.
Just just the old Japanese comics and such, and then I used to get those from my family, might send them over, and my family in Japan might send them over, and just sort of that sort of thing. And then I loved fashion and, you know, fashion illustration, and it was just always liked making something, and it just sort of developed, and then I really, it's strange. When I was younger, I used to tell the teachers, and this is, I say younger as in like when I was in GCSEs and A levels, and I was like, I'm not going to become an artist, because people used to say, I love drawing, and people would be, are you going to become an artist, Fuji? I was like, no, I'm never going to become an artist. I'm going to go to study law or something.
Be a vet.
it didn't happen. But I'm glad I didn't study law. I'm glad
We're glad you didn't as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Your mum's very artistic, isn't she? Was she a big influence when you were growing up as well?
My mum's very
Very creative.
got a design eye, I'd say, and she'd always take me to, like, since I was like little auctions. Like, we went to the auction almost every week, and you'd go around, you'd be picking up all these old bits and bobs, and kind of different markets, and loved collecting old art and bric-a-brac. So I think that kind of thing. And then she actually set up her and her brother and sister-in-law, so my aunt and uncle, they actually set up a vintage and antique shop in Japan. And so I'd go around with my mum as well in the UK, and then we'd kind of like pick out what to send over to Japan sometimes. And that was happening when I was like 13, 14 and stuff. And so I've been very involved with just visual kind of things. So that's definitely her, a big part of that.
And have you got some sort of collaboration with her? I noticed you is there an Instagram account where it's the two of you or something?
Yes. This is actually, we set up this thing called Zanshin Studio, and I actually did that before sort of becoming an artist. I mean, it's sort of an art account. It's decorative art, so pieces more for the home in a way. And we were setting this up, and then things started happening with my artwork and with the Sky Arts program, and it's just, then we moved house, and it's all been too crazy, and we've not been able to really sort out the sort of decorative art we have going. But it's not going to stop. It's just on hold. The plan is I've been saving up to build a outdoor studio, so make a proper workshop space, and we've got all the equipment, and because the equipment we used was like massive, like 1 meter by 1.4 meter kind of tools, and there'd be like 15, 20 of those, and they take up so much space. And so plan is we're going to get that going, maybe start some workshops and such.
Sounds
but
brilliant.
Maybe hopefully by the end of this year we want to get stuff sorted.
Yeah.
Hopefully we're allowed out at some point this year.
Yes.
Please.
Yeah. At the moment it's just fantasizing, oh, my big space, I'll have a nice desk.
We're all fantasizing hugely, I think, aren't we?
We're just fantasizing about anything, really. Go into a pub or walking down a road.
Yeah.
So tell us about Landscape Artist of the Year then. So it's one of my favourite programmes ever. If anyone's not watched it, really think they should watch it, because it is fabulous. And that's where I first saw you. So just talk us through it, explain what it is, and then tell us from your point of view what it was like.
It was actually even before I was on it. It was one of my favourite programmes.
Yeah.
I used to watch it with my mum, and loved it. And so, extra exciting that I got to be on it. But it's the setup was really that you apply. They have this application online, and you just submit like a landscape drawing you've done, and the way they choose it is actually, they don't really know anything. The judges don't know anything about you. They just see an image. So they'll just see all the submission landscapes that people have applied. And then they'll all individually choose like a certain number. And then eventually it gets narrowed down to all the contestants who are in the show. And so you meet all these different artists, which was really lovely. And so I was just thinking, you get all these thoughts in your head, and you can't kind of like
all the time.
put them out into a and scream.
So those submissions that they send, I find it really interesting, because they're all digital, aren't they? They don't actually see the submission until the day, I believe. Is that right?
Yeah. So it's all just from an image, which, you know, it's quite, I can imagine it'd be quite strange, because it's art's completely different when you look at it online versus in person, and scale is such a huge part of that as well. But it was no, it was lovely. And then you go to the scene, and then you've got your sort of 4 hours to draw it. But the problem is I think at first it's quite, you arrive and there's so much more camera crew and setup than you would expect. It's just everywhere. And I just think, how did they not manage to capture any of this? It's just completely jam-packed, filled with the crew. And they're all really lovely, actually, incredibly lovely, and they treat you so well. But the thing is, you know, you're drawing and there's somebody always talking to you, and they'll put a camera like right here in front of your face, and they go like, don't look at the camera. Whatever you do, don't look into the camera. And I'm like, but it's just right there. No, just above the camera. So there's scenes where they're filming here, and I have to look at the view, and I'm, you know, drawing. It's really the best place. But no, it was fab. And I think most people who are on it would agree that it was just, you know, even if you don't go further through, which is what I experienced a previous year, which I've been on there twice now.
Okay.
Once I won, and the other time I just was in the first round. But sorry, I speak so fast.
And breathe.
Winded. It's the most exercise I've done in a long time.
Yeah, most talking. Yeah.
So your first episode, was that the Gateshead one?
Yes. So in 2019, it was filmed in Gateshead, and that was they filmed it I think it was in July, and they actually released the episode. Really, it's a very quick turnaround time it was, and they released it like only a few months later. It was airing on TV, and so but yeah, no, it was really lovely weather. And then from Gateshead, I moved on into the semi-finals, and then the semi-finals were in Cromarty, and that's up in Scotland, and we've got the oil rigs, and you know, they don't tell you what you're painting, and they don't tell you where you're going to be painting. The information I had was that you're going to go to Heathrow, you're going to take the plane, it's going to land in Scotland, you know, in this airport, and we'll sort out the rest. Wow. You know, you don't know what to prepare, and I was
exciting and terrifying.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's, you know, I remember I was sketching out all these rolling hills and stuff, and I was prepared for dramatic skies, and, you know, and then you arrive, and it's we first arrived. Yeah. The problem is, at first when we arrived, we couldn't even see the oil rig. It was just fog. And there was the drive to the actual set location, and it was pitch black outside because it was quite early in the morning we were leaving, and there was just thunder and, you know, lightning, and like it was hammering down with rain. And then, you know, a few hours later, it's bright and it's like 30, you know, over 30 degrees. But
it's funny because so all your episodes, so this does sound like I'm now about to talk about me, but it's like, it just made me laugh. So I have this phobia of big things, and it's really weird phobia, but things that I'm scared of include bridges, oil rigs, and Battersea Power Station. And you painted all three. They're the three things that you painted.
It's like watching a thriller then, yeah. Television.
A horror film.
It was like, blimey, you couldn't have chosen three more things that would have triggered my phobia. But no, I mean, and so that, I don't know if you've seen the paintings that Fuji did. I mean, they were absolutely beautiful. The bridge was just so, I mean, I was reading your blog, and you were saying you're not sure if you really liked it, and I'm like, oh my goodness, it's absolutely beautiful.
Yeah. No, it was, the thing is, there's difference. I don't know if you get this sometimes when you're arranging flowers, is, you know, you might be doing something from up close here, and then you step back, and then you step back again, and then 5 meters away you'll be like, well, no, that balance doesn't look quite right, or like there's things, just the little extra details that the drawing I did at Millennium Bridge was just, I quite liked it when I was about 30 centimeters away from the piece of paper, but then when we had to leave, and then they put your piece up on the easel. I'm standing a few meters away from it. I was like, I can't see any of it. It's so, all the lines were really fine, and so it was almost invisible. And that was something I realized I need to sort of start thinking about more, as just how things are at different distances.
I think you can be very critical. We all can of our own work. You know, it's you know. I usually find I like my stuff best when I take my glasses off or don't wear my contacts. Can't see it.
It's kind of like a bit of a blur.
Exactly. So further back would be brilliant for my work. Yeah.
But it does relate to what we do, because I mean, we always say to, you know, if we're teaching, I think, you know, stand back and look at it from a different angle, or even go away and stop looking at it, and then you come back with fresh eyes. And of course, when you're on that time limit, I suppose that must be really difficult to just sort of like just go and do something else, because I'd find it so difficult to be creative in that situation. You know, with all that chaos and people talking to, I'd be like,
especially with a camera right there. I mean, that must be really off-putting.
Yeah, no, it's definitely, you were sort of just going off of pure adrenaline. It's just, you know, you're just so kind of hyped up in the moment, and then just let it out.
Did you get to stay on site, or did you go for the day effectively, do the you know, the stage and then go home, or did you stay?
The first one was sort of, I just sort of, you're there just for the day really, but it was a bit of a distance away, so I rented out an Airbnb that was nearby.
Right.
At the semi-finals, they cover everything for you, so you especially it's up in Scotland, they can't really expect us to you know, from everywhere making our way over, but that was stayed for, I mean, it was only one night, and then it's not too far really.
Did you have to provide all your own materials? I mean, so if you arrived and you opened up your kit box and there was a critical thing missing, would that be just too bad? Or I mean, can you imagine? Or did they provide you with materials if you needed something else? Or
there's a certain amount of materials that they can provide, because they've got something going on with Cass Art, the art supplier, but I think a lot of artists have equipment that they're used to using, because all tools are slightly different, like whether it be a pen or like the sort of paint, and so really everybody's bringing their own stuff, and then they sort of provide a few extra bits just in case. So I bought my own ink and everything and pens, but they did also provide extra stuff, and now I have a full 6-pack set of Winsor & Newton inks. Actually, I've got 3 of those, because each time they provided them, but I only use the black ink, so I've just got all these sorts of rainbow array just sitting on the side. But
and something that always I look at it and think they can't possibly do that, but I'm sure they must. So to me, the fact that there's like 5 other people in their little pod doing stuff, does that play with your mind? You know, do you get that sort of comparison syndrome and think, oh, but theirs is so beautiful and mine's so rubbish? Or, you know,
because she doesn't.
No, I don't know because shit, but you know, I mean, it's a very creative thing, isn't it? Where you're always looking at what the other people are doing. But it seems that everybody's just like focused on their pod, and it, you know, it would be lovely if that is the case.
It depends on the sometimes, and then I'm quite fortunate that my art style is nobody else was drawing, and so there was nobody else doing a technique which was similar to mine in a way, which I think if somebody else was doing an ink drawing, I would definitely have been like, what are they doing? It says better than mine, you know. But it's because it's so different in a way, it just depends on what the judges are feeling, and you just sort of, I mean, like you just can't sort of guess in a way, which is quite nice.
Yeah, and I think it's much better, isn't it? It's much healthier, but it's, you know, it's just something that always played on my mind. It's like, oh, that would really do me head in with all those people doing other stuff, because it's such a wide range of mediums, isn't it? Like I was watching, was it last week, the series that's on at the moment, there was a guy actually screen printing. He was actually making his own screen printing setup. I was like, oh my goodness, that's really complex.
Amazing. He brought so much equipment. I don't, like, you need a van to transport all of that. no, that was amazing.
You know,
That's what makes it so fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah.
How hard to judge, though.
I know.
You know, if you were judging 5 people using inks, you could think, well, at least I'm comparing like with like. I know you're not at all, because everybody's style is different, but you know, it's the same. But to be going from screen printing to oils to pastels to mixed media to goodness knows what, I mean, and then all of the styles and the way people see things, I just, what a nightmare to be the judge. I can't imagine.
Yeah,
they're in a situation where they can't win, really, I suppose, aren't they?
Did you have any idea what the judges were looking for at all, or you know?
I mean, I do, because I've watched all the previous series, and then I've also watched most of Portrait Artist of the Year as well. You do sort of end up you know, we're all sitting there trying to like psychoanalyze the judges and be like, oh no, they don't like this because of that, and that's not going to go through because this is too pretty for them or something. Right. So I definitely adjusted my style a little bit, just to avoid certain things. Like I know sometimes they don't like it when it's too illustration-y. And so I was like, okay, so maybe I'll be a bit careful with that, and that might be a bit too modern liney for them or something. So try and keep it quite arty looking. It's quite strange.
It's difficult. It's really difficult, because then you're not being potentially authentic to yourself, are you? You're trying to please somebody else. I completely understand why you would do that. I'm sure I'd be exactly the same, but it sort of should be your work, shouldn't it? And whether somebody likes it is purely subjective.
I know there are people who go through it and they do, and it's worked for them, is they just totally stick to their guns. They're like, this is how I paint, this is work. But I don't know, I was just, you know, I'm quite a self-conscious person. Like I'm very, you know, even when somebody hires me for a commission, usually I'll ask them which of my artwork do they like most, because it varies. And so I'll always be taking in mind, like, I think this person likes stuff to be a bit more traditional. Like I'm not going to be taking big risks with them in the work. And so it does almost feel like I'm working for a client sometimes when I was on there. So
so if you're left to your own devices, no commission, no client, what do you love to get down and dirty with? What really, really makes you happy?
Do you know, my problem is I like too many things. Like I really like too many things, and so that does become a problem. Like it's you know, growing up, it was sort of like, oh, do I like architecture? Do I want to be in product design? Do I want to go into fashion? And then I ended up doing drawing, because all the things that I like, I can put into my drawing. Like if I like architecture, I can draw some architecture. And then like, yeah, I like nature, I'll draw it. So it's sort of just whatever I'm in the mood for, really. It just depends.
Quite often your work does have nature sitting alongside architecture, doesn't it? You are, that piece you did, that, sorry to go back to it again, but that final piece you did with the old abbey that was the ruin, with the tree.
Priory, was it?
Oh my goodness, just the most. I mean, were you thrilled to bits with that?
I was really happy with the Lantony Priory piece. Lantony Priory piece.
I'm glad you said it.
We all avoided it.
Yes, it's a tumbly down building.
Yeah, no, it was fun to actually have just 2 weeks to really set my mind to something and draw it as I felt was appropriate. You know, I do quite often choose like a modern building and then I'll contrast it to some nature, but I absolutely love ruins, and I just think it's about, you know, whenever I draw something, my main goal is highlighting in a way what I enjoy about it. So one of my favorite things with ruins is they are these magnificent builds. Quite often they're quite magnificent and they impressive to look at, but then I love the textures, and it's all about highlighting all those features. And I think for me, I felt at the end of the drawing that, like, yes, this is showing the parts that I liked about Lantany. And so I was happy with the piece.
Oh, it's just beautiful, just stunningly beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Similarly, the Venice piece. Another triumph.
Well, none of them bad, are they?
No.
That programme was really interesting, watching you doing that Venice thing, though, because you were there for a while, weren't you? I do sound like a bit of a stalker, don't I?
Yeah.
Oh, Venice. That's definitely gonna stay as one of those like most amazing experiences of my life, with being, you know, you are sort of escorted around in a way with this. There was, I think it was 6 or I can't remember the number, 6 or 7 of us in total, and yeah, I think it was 7 days, 7 full days in Venice, and we were together. Me and the crew were together from like early in the morning till late in the evening. We had breakfast and then we had dinner together, and then maybe a drink afterwards together. You know, so that was absolutely, you know, it was amazing. A little bit embarrassing because the filming itself I found to be, I was a bit uncomfortable with, because it's sort of, you know, if there's a few of you, it's okay being filmed, but it's just me that they're filming. And so, you know, I'm walking around and I've got this crew like filming behind me, and, you know, Venice is a busy place and people are like, oh, why is she being filmed? You know, looking at you and like taking pictures of you.
Being trapped.
Yeah, I'm not doing anything interesting. I'm just walking there looking at the buildings like this.
They all think you're a film star.
So
to walk around Venice and think, right, what am I going to paint? It must just be such overwhelm. You know, how do you choose that little vignette of what you decided to do?
I think because it was the Venice Commission was, since it was commissioned by RIBA, by the RIBA, and they're an architecture institute, I felt like it definitely has to be architecturally focused. Yeah. And like showing the details. And then Venice, you have to have the water, but also it was in commemoration of John Ruskin, and his whole thing was that he loved Gothic architecture. So it was about just finding a building, you know, get the detail. I wanted the water. I wanted to have those kind of strong Gothic features. And yeah, they did have all these beautiful prim kind of in brilliant condition buildings. But most of Venice, you know, it's right on water. It's got all this sort of damage and the plasters coming off. And so it was about, but even these buildings where the plasters are all coming off, they're stunning. Like most of the buildings there, they have these like beautiful features. And so, you know, I didn't have to like pick a particularly special building for it to still be a special building. And in the end, I had this like blurry snap, almost really awful wonky photo I took. And when I was looking back at the images I took, I just thought it had all those features that I wanted. And it was actually an art gallery, and you could actually go online and you can see inside the art gallery, and it's lovely. And it just felt appropriate. It was called, the exhibition I think was called Venice Design in that art gallery. And it just felt right.
Yeah, meant to be.
So that Venice piece, that's on display permanently, is it?
It's not, it won't always stay up there. It'll go towards, it's at the moment it's sitting in their main building in London, but I think they will be moving it to another room or something. I am not quite sure what's happening yet. I actually haven't managed to visit it since it's been put up. It was sort of, you know, sort of when I finally was about to visit it, and then like lockdown happened, and then so
where is it? Where could people find it if they wanted to eventually be able to go and see?
If it's still up, then it would be the RIBA building in, I think it's on Portland Street or Portland Road. It's I think that's the name of the street. And it is actually, the building's open to the public in a way. Like they have like a little library, and they usually have exhibitions on or something, which is quite nice. Definitely a fancy building.
What are you doing now? Is it mainly commissions for other people?
I've recently the past year I've really been doing commissions, and this year I've decided to I do want to create, be a little ambitious and create my own kind of works in a way. But I'm actually joining a gallery. I think they should be opening shortly. Well, I mean, maybe not open to public for a bit, but it's opening in London, and so that's quite exciting. But working with the gallery means it's really they're just taking my work as is. I'm sort of creating for myself, and then they will exhibit it, which is really nice. So yeah, looking forward to that.
So we have a few questions that we like to ask people. It's light-hearted, so don't panic. And they can be as quick fire or as go into more detail as you want. So I think you've already answered one, but tea or coffee?
Tea, definitely.
Always.
Always tea.
Okay. Builder's tea or weak?
Well, it varies. Morning, it's always, I have 2 cups of strong tea, and then I might have up 3-4 cups of green tea during the day, and in the evening, and then maybe 1 more cup of normal tea at the end of the day.
Very
like it.
I was going to say, you're right, that's quite a few cups of tea.
Oh, and I should drink water, really.
No, green tea is really good for you.
Yeah.
Do you like
There's
matcha?
worse things you could drink.
There is a lot worse things. Do you like matcha?
Do I like
matcha?
Matcha? Matcha's just like a green, it's really a sort of just green tea sort of thing.
It's really strong.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan.
No, I don't like it.
I like most. I don't like lemon and ginger, and I don't like peppermint, but other than that, I'm okay with most.
Okay. I love peppermint tea. Now, this is because I've been reading your blog. Ink or masking fluid?
Ooh, that's a good one.
But I have to use I use masking fluid with ink.
I know you do. Which do you prefer? Which do you prefer working with? Do you prefer putting it on or taking it off?
I prefer working with ink. Masking fluid's quite hard to use.
I know, slightly random.
So how does that work in combination then?
Well, the masking fluid is just a blocker. Yeah, it's sort of, it's wherever you put it down on the paper. If this is the masking fluid and then I put the ink on top, wherever the masking fluid is, the ink will not touch that part of the paper.
It's like magic.
Yeah.
So can you see it when you put it on? No, you can't, can you?
I use a blue masking fluid, so I can see it, but you do risk staining your paper. But it's more important that I can see what's going on.
Where you've put it.
So is that how you created those, like the reeds and things? Is that with the masking fluid?
Yes. It's super useful medium.
No, it's beautiful. Music or podcasts?
Podcasts.
Do you listen to a lot then?
Yes, a lot of I quite like history. History podcasts on in the background. It's the work I do is so visual. In a way, I've got the brain space to go towards listening to podcasts, and it stops me from being as distracted. Otherwise, I'll just find myself spacing out and going to make another cup of tea or something.
So if you were on a desert island, what one item would you take with you?
I never know what to do. If like my iPad was endlessly charged, probably my iPad, but it won't be with it.
iPad with solar charging.
Yes, solar charging. That's a good idea.
Solar charging, that's a good one.
And who would play you in a movie?
Oh,
that's a hard question.
It's a very hard question, isn't it?
I don't know. I'm not quite sure which. At the moment, I can't really. My hair looks more like Snape at the moment, so I'm not quite sure.
Snake. It doesn't look anything like
Is this a snake?
It's sort of, yeah.
You don't look like Alan Rickman.
No.
No, it's my hair at the moment is sort of just growing out. So
We can't talk.
No,
No.
we've had quite a few discussions about lockdown hairdos.
Yeah.
Yours is not looking like a lockdown hairdo.
No, it isn't.
I had a short bob before lockdown.
I shaved my hair at the beginning of lockdown.
yeah, mine was permed just before we went in.
Anyway, before we go, I'm going to have to share this. So I was given this as a present. Get that the right way around. Look, how
Yes, upside down.
absolutely-
Yeah.
Is it upside down?
No.
Yeah.
Beautiful,
How
very beautiful.
utterly beautiful is that?
Can you put it a bit closer?
Trying to
No.
work out which is the straight one.
Hang on. Yeah, gosh.
So it goes out of the. That's what
Yeah.
I love about it. It
Yes.
goes out of
Yeah.
the frame.
Yeah.
Just.
Did you do that from a
Very
photograph,
beautiful.
or did you do that on site?
It was no, it was I had a picture. It's the couple whose property it is. They live up in quite far up north, a bit too far for me to
Okay.
travel.
Where
But they have a
about-
lovely plot.
Whereabouts is it then? What? I don't mean specifically. I mean.
No,
York-
I think
Scotland?
Scotland.
Oh,
I think it's like, but like when I say Scotland, I mean like, but like properly even north in Scotland. I think,
One of the Isles.
yeah.
So it's called the Burn. And it's
that
beautiful.
gives it away, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's
I actually almost cried when I got that. It was a real sort of emotional moment. It was beautiful.
I think when you receive art, it is a very emotional thing, actually. When somebody's really tapped into something that you would really, really
Yeah.
love and understand what's going to make you feel all emotional, it is a very emotional thing.
I do need to post on Instagram actually the picture I did of because I drew one of Fiona's
yes.
flower arrangements, and it's finished. I've just
it finished?
been yeah, it's finished. It's been framed. It's ready
Oh,
to.
wow. Oh my goodness. I'm
Just- but
quite
it's still-
ashamed that that's not been framed. I'm actually having a bit of a panic. I think I said to you on Instagram, it's so sort of precious that I feel like nothing is good enough for it. Do you know what I mean? So it's so I'll just put it in a frame. It'll be much better on the wall.
I'm really bad with getting around to. I haven't framed any of the art I've bought from. There's this lovely. Do you see when the artist support pledge was happening on
Yes.
Instagram?
Yeah.
And so I got a couple pieces via that, which were normally she was actually a previous Landscape Art of the Year contestant, and she had these massive. It's probably a huge piece. We've got like almost like 1.6 meters or something. But yeah, I need to get that framed. That's a beautiful.
I can imagine that's quite tricky to get that framed.
Yeah, so maybe a bit of DIYing will be needed.
Yeah.
Oh, don't say that. That'll make me feel really inadequate. Oh God, I need to make a frame. Oh, well, it's been lovely to talk to you, and I absolutely love your work. So no, it's lovely to speak to you.
Oh, thank you very much. It was lovely to chat and hear your voices. And,
Really
I
good
mean,
at
my
what-
family are here, but it doesn't really count.
Oh, well, thank you very much anyway.
Yes,
We'll
thank
let
you
get
so
back
much.
to
It'd be lovely to meet you one
Thank
day.
you.
Maybe if you have an
Yes.
exhibition in London, we can all come.
We'll go to the gallery.
We'll come and see you. Yeah.
When the world is open again.
Yes,
it'll be-
exactly.
Thank you very much.
Take care.
Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye bye bye.
Bye. I never know how to. There. Bye.
You've been listening to the Restless Creatives podcast. To ensure you don't miss our next episode, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, the Restless Creatives podcast. If you'd prefer to listen rather than watch us, you can catch us on one of your favoured podcast providers. For more sneak peeks and behind-the-scenes fun, visit our Instagram @the.restlesscreatives or visit our website therestlesscreatives.co.uk.